Hi, I'm James, this is Sword and Keyboard, and today I'm going to talk about Crackdown 3 and why it is both an amazing game and definitely not worth buying.
Moscow, Seoul, a whole new group of cities just got hit. It's chaos, and the intel we've got is shaky at best. These are dark days, Commander.
Don't worry, sir. We're here to light shit up.
So if you've seen some of my other videos, you might have noticed that I'm a bit of a fan of Crackdown 1 and Crackdown 2 as well. So what I was hoping to get out of this game was much of the same sort of thing. The standard open world fun, which has become a little bit more mainstream since Crackdown first came out, but it's still an entertaining premise and a little bit of freedom and all that superhero-y stuff. And that is pretty much what you should expect if you want to jump into playing Crackdown 3. It's this very much the same formula. The control scheme has changed a little bit, where you've got like double jumping and a little bit of the air dash, but mostly what you'd expect, and any changes are explained pretty well as you play through the game. And yeah, it does the usual graphical upgrades you'd expect after waiting so long for the sequel, and it looks pretty good. It's nothing groundbreaking, don't get me wrong, but it does well enough for the formula, and you don't really need any more than that. We're not here to play a hyper-realistic, photorealistic game that requires every droplet of water down the main character's face to be rendered in perfect detail. And if you're looking for that, then let's not even look at Crackdown, because you go find some other game you'll enjoy a lot more. But if you're looking for something that's not even remotely realistic, with the idea of jumping up onto reasonably tall buildings, punching someone quite a long way through the air, and throwing a car across a small city, then you're pretty much in the right place here. So I won't dwell on the formula too much. It is pretty much what you should be expecting from any open world game of this sort. The slight deviation worth noting is sort of little family tree type thing, which if you played the Shadow of Mordor games, then you'll recognise how it's supposed to work. Kill your way up to the boss sort of thing. But to jump into what makes Crackdown one of my favourite games, you still get that freedom to completely ignore the priorities of the game is set out for you. So, for example, my first run through I've been playing recently, I killed one of the sub-bosses, so one of the second tier bosses that you've got. I don't even know what the game actually calls them. And then decided to not bother hanging around. So I just went and took on the main boss straight away. No, I'm not going to pretend I hadn't played a decent amount of time into the game and hadn't leveled my character up suitably. I mean, Jesus, I always go into these sort of things overpowered. But with two of the main bosses still about, you're put at a disadvantage when you try and advance, but the game doesn't prevent you. Now, I was able to beat the main campaign in the game with only one of the sort of sub-level bosses defeated, and admittedly they're underlings, but so what the game did to me is it punished me horribly on my way up there, put so many troops in the way, poison gas everywhere, but at the same time it didn't make it impossible, just really hard. So if you're if you're not pushing yourself to the limits with the highest difficulty levels, you'll probably be able to do some of this sort of thing of like ignore the order the game has set out for you, and that sort of freedom is missing from a lot of games. That is what truly makes the game like really open world for me. And yeah, it does sacrifice the story a touch in that regard, because it can only do so much. Like there are, throughout the game, there become references to bosses you've already killed, which it's not a major deal. As I said before, if you're playing Crackdown for realism, you're in the wrong place. But it can be distracting. I don't think it's a major deal at all. It's still fun when you're playing through, and you're not in it for the story, really. And now, correct me if I'm wrong, and if there is someone who actually plays the Crackdown games for the story, then please do get in touch. I'm interested to hear what makes such a person tick. But as I say, that sort of freedom the game gives you doesn't really funnel you into doing anything in particular, which is kind of the game's downfall again in the end. So I've put, I'd guess, about 6 hours in so far, and I have defeated every boss, gone through every major enemy stronghold, run through the big agility puzzles. There are a few objectives out there that I still haven't completed, but I haven't been rushing through any of this. Like my agent is high enough level, not fully maxed out by any means, but high enough level in across the board that nothing's really a challenge anymore. And I'll probably go back, turn the difficulty level up and play through again. Maybe if I can find someone to go on co-op with. But I do feel that I'm very close to running out of content. And that's where the big drawback of Crackdown 3 is for me. In what it has in breadth, it lacks in depth. So there are lots of little things to do, but none of those things take very long, other than repetitively going through the agility orbs. But they're the perfect example, in that getting one individual agility orb isn't a major big deal. It's just the fact that there are so many dotted throughout the world. Hence, I'm never going to get all of those orbs. It's just, that sort of thing doesn't appeal to me. It's like the feathers in the Assassin's Creed 2. I just don't see the point in sinking so much of my life into that to not really get much out of it. If I want that, I may as well go back to work for the rest of the day. But that's not to say that the game lacks value. It's not the best value game in the world, but at the same time, it is so much fun. Now, I picked it up on the Xbox Game Pass, and yeah, I'm happy with that, certainly. In terms of this month's Game Pass subscription, I'd say it's more than worth it. But for £60, as I've seen it on some stores, I could definitely not bring myself to pay that much. Now it's a well-made title, but I'm just not going to get enough gameplay out of it to justify that. And that might be selling it a little bit short, but I guess it's down to how much time you're going to put in personally, whether or not you're going to aim for 100% completion or not. That's going to tell whether or not it's going to be worth that full price tag. But I suppose even then, I mean, the rule I tend to go for is comparing to a cinema trip. So I'd count in like if you get your cinema ticket, get your snacks, get everything on board, pay, I don't know what, like 20 quid for a couple of hours entertainment. And yeah, it passes that test. Like so far, what, 6 hours, 6 hours, £60, £10 an hour. Yeah, that's roughly on par with a cinema trip. But I consider that the absolute upper bounds for if it was worthwhile as a cost of entertainment. And yeah, it does technically get that, but not by much. It's really scraping it at that price. Certainly makes me glad I picked it up on the Game Pass. But anyway, not to stay too negative. As I say, I have really enjoyed what of the game I've played so far. Hoping that there'll be some additional content coming in the form of DLC. Paid or not, I'm not really too fussed. I'd happily sink a little bit of extra money into getting a bit of DLC. It'd make the price I paid of effectively zero it's yeah, it seems only fair to support the developer a bit. But I haven't really heard much word of that yet, so I guess we'll keep an ear out for now. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm trying to change things again. I know in the last video the audio dropped in quality halfway through, and apologies for that. That is, that wasn't good times. But again, I've updated the audio setup once more. We'll see if that all works out. Again, in terms of content, please do get in touch if you think there's anything good or anything bad about any of my videos. I really love to hear the feedback, just so I can get some context really of how I'm getting on. But anyway, that aside, hope you have a wonderful week, and yeah, I'll see you around.